I'm absolutely fed up of people not knowing how to craft good, high converting cold emails. And today I'm going to show you exactly how we built a £200 million pipeline for one of our partners using this AI outbound system. Let's get straight into the hyper-personalized emails. This is the outreach strategy which we spoke about in the last video. Now, first of all, let's go straight into what an email looks like. We have a 3-sectioned approach. First of all, starting with the pain point, establishing you know them, showing you've done your research, creating a value proposition which is tailored toward that pain point, shown here. And then finally, the call to action and case studies to finally get them to convert. On top of that, we have a guarantee to actually put the final nail in the coffin. These are some of the winning scripts which have been working for ourselves and our partners. I'm going to walk you through the exact end-to-end structure. So to first start off, we're going to purchase the domains, then we're going to set up the inboxes, then we're going to scrape the leads, then we're going to understand how to filter them out, then we're going to enrich it finally, and then to finish off, we're going to track and optimize. Now, if this sounds like a lot, I'm going to walk you through every single step-by-step process. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm going to walk you through everything. So if you've got any questions, everything should be answered here, as well as all of these templates and softwares having a free trial and templates being available on our website. So to start off, let's go straight into buying the domains. So let's head over to GoDaddy.com. And to start off, we need to purchase a domain. So if you've already got a business domain, I would really sincerely recommend using another domain, so that when you actually send out emails and they get flagged up as spam or blocked or something, you're not sacrificing your actual domain. Now, I'll also show you exactly how not to end up in spam. And on average, every domain you purchase should have 3 inboxes per domain. So each inbox is allowed to send around 20 to 30 emails per day. So the more you want to scale, the more domains and inboxes you'll need to purchase. Okay, so to head over to GoDaddy, we've got a very unique feature which is in the search box, which you can literally just type exactly what you want. And I would definitely recommend only .com domains, maybe .co.uk, but .com is the most reputable and most least likely to end up in spam. Okay, so I want only .com domains which have the word Imperium and are short and have now this is where the first actual cost for this system is, and this is one of the only costs insured for this. However, these email domains can last as long as you like them to be. So first of all, we can scroll through some domains which look good. So growimperium.com, growthimperium.com, Peak Imperium, Imperium Growth Advisors, scaleimperium.com. Okay, let's purchase those 2 domains. And you see this price over here, that's not going to be the actual price. I'll show you how to reduce it from here. Now, first of all, we don't need any domain protection, and we don't need no email personalization. And on top of that, what it's going to try and push you into is a 5-year membership. Let's just start with 1 because it's much more cost effective. Now, what I would greatly recommend is when you're sending emails, there are 2 types of inboxes. There's a Gmail or Outlook inbox. Of course, there are others, but those are the 2 primary. So I would recommend buying half in Gmail, half in Microsoft. And then when you send it out later, I'll show you how to only send Gmail to Gmail inboxes and Microsoft inboxes, because that significantly increases the deliverability. So to start off, let's start with Microsoft. Let's get Microsoft 365 Essentials for only £2 a month, which is a massive saving because I believe it was around £5 to £6 a month before. And now on top of that, what we are doing, so we're purchasing 3 inboxes per domain. So we've got 2 domains here. So 3 times 2 is 6. So we need to purchase 6 mailboxes. Now this is where the costs actually ramp up. So if we're doing the calculations here, 6 inboxes, £2 per month, 2 times 12, 24 per inbox, times by 6, 144. So we should be around 144 plus the £10 here, 163. That makes sense. So let's head out to that. And that is the cost. So for example, if you wanted to purchase 3 inboxes for 2 domains, it would roughly equate to £163. Now, if you wanted to do half of that, go ahead. And then the tax, because we have to pay the government, unfortunately. Let's see, is there any way of reducing tax? Unfortunately, I think not. Okay, so we're going to buy one with Microsoft, one with Gmail to show you exactly how to set them up. And then this can be just repeated for the more you want to buy. Okay, let's do some actual maths here. So if we're buying 3 inboxes per domain, each inbox will be able to send around 20 emails. So 20 times 3, 60 emails. Now, that's 60 emails a day from one domain. We buy, on average, 9 domains. That's around 540 emails sent per day. Now, if you wanted to scale it to even further, because you've got such a large target addressable market, then that's how you do it accordingly. All right, let me get my phone. Also, Giacomo, if there's any way of people finding out my bank details, please could you blur that out? We bought 3 inboxes for Microsoft. Now let's buy some inboxes for Google. Okay, this is another domain which we can buy, which is along the same premise of Imperium growth, Imperium scaling, growimperium.com. So, same as before, no domain protection. Continue to cart. Let's switch it to 1 year. And now here we do not need to buy the Microsoft license because we're going to do this with Gmail. And we set everything in Gmail up in Gmail Google Workspaces. Okay, now just to clarify, what we've done is we've bought 2 domains. We've already bought 3 Microsoft licenses for that one domain. And now we're going to buy some Gmail licenses for the other domain. So once you're in GoDaddy, you have to go into the sign up to your account or create an account if you don't have one. Then press My Products. And now you're going to see the 2 new domains which have just been bought. So growthimperium.com, and we should see another one shortly pop up. So there we have to go to My Account, Domains, DNS. And you want to manage the DNS for growthimperium.com. Now what you have to do is purchase some domains. So let's start off with Google. Now head over to Google or workspace.google.com. And first you have to sign in. If you already have an admin console for your organization, then sign into that and you can add this under your organization. If not, then you have to create a brand new organization. Here I've already got an organization, so when you sign into your Google Workspace, you should be taken to the admin console like this over here. Now if you go home, now no other tutorials are talking about this, so because everything has recently migrated from Squarespace or something. So what we have to do is go to Manage Domains, add a domain, and now we type this domain here, and now press Add Domain and start verification. Now it's going to take you over to GoDaddy. So select GoDaddy. We go over to GoDaddy. Let's copy this value here. And since we're in the DNS management, we have to add a new record. Record is this. Value is the one we pasted in. Okay, so here in the name field, you can just leave it blank or you just put an @ Then in the value, you copy and paste what was over there and press save. Set it to the lowest TTL value. And here we go. Add one more domain or add one more DNS record. Now this is going to be a CNAME. And we copy over this name and this value and set it to the lowest one, which is half an hour. Now we've had success in that. Now we can head over to the Google domain, press go to GoDaddy. And here we go. Okay, now if you want to, and this is an extra step, if you go to the product section, so you go to products and then you press connect to domain, you can forward it to the actual domain. And it's that simple. Now, every time someone searches the new domain you've just bought, it'll take them to the website. So if they see an email from that domain and they want to copy and paste it in, it'll take them to your actual website. So you're not ruining the reputation of your actual domain. Okay, now we've done all of that, we head over back to the Google Workspace, which we were at earlier, where we copied and pasted over the values, press this tick and press confirm. Now everything is being checked. Okay, there we go. Now the domain has been verified. Now let's continue here. So we have to press add user, and now we add 3 more licenses, or however many more inboxes you want to purchase for that domain. I would recommend 3 maximum per domain. So first you can create new people. So if you were to add a new user, you have to go here, type in their first name. So I'm going to do it for our head of sales. Let's just do Archie. I'll show you why. Let's add it to growthimperium.com. Now, the very unique thing you can do with Google and Google Workspaces is have a profile picture for that domain or for that inbox, which we've found has a much higher reply rate because people can actually see who they're interacting with. So this is a very unique part here, and I'll definitely recommend putting a profile picture. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it definitely increases reply rates. Okay, let's put a flashing picture. Okay, there we go. We've added 1 person. We've added 1 license. Let's add 2 more users, actually. Same name, but I'm going to show you how we can get a void. How we can go around creating many inboxes per the same name. So we can say first name dot last name at, and then put the domain in, secondary email, and then definitely add a profile picture. And let's add 1 final user. We have just created 3 inboxes for one of the domains which we have purchased for Google. So now that should all be set up. A few more things which we actually need to configure. So if we head over to here and we type DKIM, go to DKIM, and then generate new record. Now select the new one which you've just bought and generate new record. Keep that exactly how it is. Now it's going to give you a TXT record, so copy that and then add new record, TXT, name here, value if you go back to it. You're going to copy all of this all the way from the V equals. And you copy it into the value box, have it as the lowest value there, and here have it as TXT. Then press save. And we have configured the DKIM record. Now, one more thing we need to configure for the Gmail inbox is if we head on over to a website called EasyDMark, go to Tools, we go to DMark Record Generator. Now, domain, you type in the domain which you just purchased. Just put in a random email address which you are happy to have reports sent to, so I wouldn't have it as the same email address, and then failure here. Those are the records, so then press generate a DMark record. Now what you're going to have to do is copy this, go back to your GoDaddy DNS, put a TXT record in, put the name which you just copied, which is _DMark. And where's it gone? Oh. And make sure it's not all of this, it's just this. Then TXT and then value, you copy the value and you paste it into here. Now save. And now that is all the records you need to configure for a DNS management for your email not to end up in spam and then be flagged constantly. Next, I'll show you how to warm up the email, but before that, let's first set up the Microsoft account. One more thing. So when you're here in the manage domain under accounts, under domains, manage domains, then you have to press activate Gmail to actually activate these accounts. And then also when you do use these accounts for other softwares and stuff, you actually have to sign in and set a new password. So set up MX record. Next. Then you just follow these instructions. Proceed with activation. GoDaddy is the host. Continue. Now what we have to do again is go over to GoDaddy, create a new record, put txt here, put the value here, put name as @. We can set TTL to half an hour. Then press tick. Confirm. Okay, let me do some thumbnails. Where it says this, after you've finished and imported this DKIM record for Google, not for Microsoft, for Google, then you press start authentication, and now it's going to authentify itself, and all the settings have been updated. Okay, now we can close out the Google Workspaces and focus on the Microsoft. Okay, so I believe we've done everything needed for the Gmail account. Now let's head on over and set up the 3 Microsoft inboxes, because we've already purchased 3 Microsoft licenses, and we can do all of that stuff over in GoDaddy here. We go to my account, we go to domains, and then we go to the one we've just purchased. This is the one we bought 3 Microsoft licenses for. Then what we need to do, so every single domain you purchase, you're going to have to do this whole process for. Now, we need to create a new record, so we head on over to EasyDMark, go to Tools, DMark, Record Generator. So for the Microsoft domain, what we have to do, we have to copy the same domain here over to here. None. Send to, put an email address. Let's do advanced options. Policy, none. Percentage apply to 100. Relaxed. Relaxed. Interval. This number here. Failure, 0. So it never should be sending emails. Now what we need to do is just copy this. Same thing, new record, paste that in there, txt, go back and copy over the value into the value column. Now save that. Perfect. Now let's do the very same thing with DKIM record generator. Now paste in the same domain, great. You can do S1 length, keep the length the same. Which email service or platform are you generating this DKIM record for? Microsoft. Now you have to copy this value and copy, this is the name, so s1.domainkey scaleimperium.com is the name. So you copy that, add new record, paste that name in there, paste the other value which you just copied over, and set it as a txt record. Let's copy that over again. So this record value here, paste that in there, and press save, and you should be putting it on the first one. And that is a green light. Okay, we are here, forwarding. We can forward it to our actual domain. So add forwarding, destination. And now the second Microsoft has been forwarded. So then when you actually type in that domain, it takes you to your actual primary domain. Now let's head over to here and let's go to email and office. Create a new email account. So let's select the domain of the one we just purchased and make sure it's a Microsoft one, because we've got 3 free licenses, or we've got 3 licenses for that. So we better use them up. Add another, going to be archie.n, archie.nash. Make sure it's the correct domain, and then press create email accounts. Now we're creating these Microsoft inboxes. Okay, now we have got these 3 domains. Let's manage them. If you want to create an email signature, you can create an email signature here. You have to recheck DNS, see if DNS is working. Manage the second one. Recheck the DNS. Third one. Okay, now it's taking a bit of time to propagate. We're going to have to come back in a few minutes just to check if it's actually connected across. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's account information, press edit, and then we have to change the first name and change all of the account information name if you set it incorrectly before. So our advanced settings, go to SMTP and make sure you turn SMTP on, because this is going to work for when you actually connect it to the cold email sending platform. And once all of that has been done, administration position, yes. Permissions, yes. Save everything. Now you've done this correctly for once. Now recheck the DNS. So if you want all of them to forward to one email account, which I would definitely recommend, so then you don't have to check every single inbox, then this is where you'd forward it to. And also, this is very important because when we have the later stages of creating email auto-responding agents, this inbox should be the one which the email agent monitors, so it doesn't have to monitor so many. It can just focus on one. Basically, that same process of checking the SMTP, clicking it, checking the name, forwarding it to the same email address. All of that should be then applied to all the Microsoft accounts. And that's the steps of setting up the Microsoft. Do the same thing for all of these other emails. We've forwarded it. We've set a mail destination. So that mail destination, you don't really need to do anything here. Then we've created the 3 Outlook accounts. We've created the 3 Gmail accounts. And we've also turned on SMTP here. And for the Gmail, I'll show you exactly what you need to do. Now, everything is set up. So we've set up we bought 2 domains, 3 for Gmail, 3 for Microsoft. Now, let me show you where the real magic happens. So because we bought those domains and now we've configured the DKIM, DNS, TXT, MX records, maybe anything else I'm forgetting about, we've set up the SMTP. Now what we need to do is to avoid it ending up in spam, we need to now warm those emails up for a period of 2 weeks, sending around incrementally increasing the amount of emails sent per day so that it makes it look like it's an active inbox. That also, the software I'm about to show you creates emails which send it back to you. So all of that stuff then helps avoid spam. So this software is going to be called Smart Lead AI. This is the software which is going to be used to warm up these 6 inboxes, or as many inboxes as you want, to incrementally start warming up over a 2-week period so that it makes it look like a real inbox. It's also sending emails back to it to actually make it have that interaction and stuff, all automated, all while you sleep, basically. So after 2 weeks, you can start sending around 30 emails a day without worrying about it ending up in spam. So here are the 3 plans. I would recommend the basic just to start with. Now, if you strategically plan this, and this is what I'm talking about in this video, is there's a 2-week free trial and it takes 2 weeks to warm up the inboxes. So what you can do is if you start and you time everything perfectly correctly, you can buy the inboxes, set it up on the same day, and by the time the free trial ends, you can actually just start sending emails. So once you've logged in to SmartLead, let's sign in here. Go through the sign up process, enter all the details and stuff. Head on over to all email accounts. Now you can see all of the inboxes which I've connected. Now what you have to do, as you can see, there's a mixture of Gmail and a mixture of Microsoft. So we have to press connect to mailbox. Now let's start with the Gmail. So click on the Gmail auth and then follow these instructions. So I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So copy this client ID, head on over to the admin panel, then you go to here and then you type, actually, why not just type API here? Then you go to app access, manage third-party app access. And already I've connected SmartLead. However, if you haven't, you'd have to press configure new app. What you type here is that URL you've just copied and pasted over, and now it should show SmartLead. So now you click on that, click continue. And this is only, you need to do this once. If you've never set anything up in SmartLead before, press trusted, continue, everything's good here, finish. We can go back to SmartLead, press connect account. And now we need to sign up with those accounts which we just created. So those 3, and this is going to be a little bit of a longer process. It's also going to be even longer for Microsoft. However, you stick with me and you just follow this structured approach step by step, there's no reason why this doesn't work. Because you've already authenticated the SMTP, you don't need to worry about any of this stuff with the Microsoft. Just press connect account. And now you're going to have two-factor authentication. So you're going to have to go here, type in the account that you just created, archie@scaleImperium.com. Next, going to take you to GoDaddy. And remember the password you created before? Okay, so once you've set your new password for everything and you've signed in with two-factor authentication to connect the Smart Lead inboxes to connect the Microsoft inboxes to Smart Lead, because you've already done an enabled SMTP authentication, then you should see the inboxes in Smart Lead. I'll show you what that looks like once I've done all of that stuff. Okay, so now once you've signed into an account through Outlook on Smart Lead and you've pressed the allow connection and then accept, then it'll take you to a page like this. Then you go to the warm-up section here and then click on daily ramp up, make sure that's enabled. Daily ramp up, I would say no more than 20 to 30. So let's do 30 a day. And randomized number, let's do anywhere between 2 to 30. Suggested 20. And then press enable warm-up. Okay, and now once you've pressed this button, basically now over the next 2 weeks, this email account will start receiving emails and then also replying to emails on your behalf. And you don't need to touch it. I would recommend not even looking at it. Just to make sure, just check it, just to make sure it's sending emails and stuff and everything is connected correctly. Now, once it's connected, if you go back to the email accounts here, you'll see the one we've just connected as it was an Outlook account, and then do that for the other Outlook accounts. Warm up reputation, NA, because it hasn't been done yet. Warm up enable, just make sure, 30, 30. And that is all good. As you can see, the better you warm up the emails, the better the warm up reputation will be, and then the least likely it'll be ending up in spam. So these emails here didn't warm it up enough, basically. So I would definitely recommend waiting 2 weeks and sending at maximum 30, 40, minimum 10, 20. Depends how long you want to warm it up for. But I would recommend 30, stick with that. Now let's connect the other mailboxes. Let's just see how to do Google. So we've connected the client ID as we've shown before. Connect account. Now add another account. Now hopefully you'll have enough space. If not, I think I've signed into too many accounts here. But what you do add another account, type in your email address, and then it should be as simple as that. Enter the password, which you should remember from before. And if not, go back to your Google Workspace and then reset a password, which you will remember. The password was the one that came up and I copied it earlier before. So do that for the 3 Gmail inboxes, and then you've connected the Microsoft and Gmail inboxes. And then once you've done that, then go to the Smart Lead warm-up, press enable warm-up, set it to 30, and then you can leave that for a 2-week period. Maybe check in on day number 2 or 3 just to check the emails are sending. And other than that, you do not need to touch it. And that is step 2. So we've just covered purchasing domains, buying a Gmail and Office emails, 2 domains, 3 inboxes per domain, half in Gmail, half in Outlook. And one key thing is when you are sending these emails, we can get into this a bit later, always keep the warm-up enabled. So do not switch off the warm-up ever until you stop using these emails. Even when you stop using the emails, keep the warm-up active. For stage 3, now we need to sign up to this website called Apollo.io. And Apollo.io has got very pricey pricing model. However, what Apollo basically is a massive database of LinkedIn Sales Navigator information, LinkedIn information, all from Crunchbase, from all different sources across the internet, compiled into one place. It's got really good filters which allow you to separate different criteria, understand, look for signals, buying intent, stuff like that. Doesn't completely enrich it to the level which we want it to enrich it to, so I'll show you how to enrich it further. But Apollo is a perfect starting place. Now, if I share my screen, I'll show you. This is what the pricing models look like. So it is quite expensive. Now, the beauty of this is though, you have a 2-week free trial. And what you can do, you can get the professional plan, press get 2-week free trial, and it doesn't even ask you to input your bank details. So therefore you can just play around with all the filters, scrape as much as you want. And after that 2-week free trial, you can go to another inbox. I know you've just created 6 inboxes, so you have about 12 weeks to play around with this. And then until you buy at least a few more. So we've got plenty of time to do this. Now, log in. Now what you're going to see is a screen like this. Now, the most important thing is we go to people. And when you're in people, these are some filters I was doing before. Let's clear those filters. It's got a database of 225 million people. Now, this is where what I spoke about earlier about understanding your ideal customer profile really comes into play. We want to filter out based on your ideal customer profile. Now, I'll just show you some examples. Job titles. So what we've found, and I'll give you the quick rundown of the hours, hundreds of hours of research playing around with Apollo at filtering out different lead lists. The best way to do this is, if you're pitching to a CEO, you'd write a certain type of email. If you're pitching to a head of sales, you'd write another type of email, same with marketing. So you want to be completely clear and not pick too many categories, not head of sales, CEO, head of marketing, head of operations, stuff like that. Every single person is going to be, or every single different position is going to be a different way you pitch to them. So just keep that in mind. So here, let's just look for CEOs and founders. CEO and founders. Keep this criteria simple. Email status, I would do verified because that just saves a lot of hassle. If you don't do verified, I'll show you how to verify it later down the line. Location. If you want to filter out for United States, you can do so. Industry keywords. Now, what I recommend is not using this industry keyword because it has only a very limited few. What I would actually recommend is going to advanced settings, company keywords, and start typing all the company keywords in here. So for example, AWS or stuff like that. And then the best way, actually, what I've found to get this kind of list is just type into ChatGPT. I understand and sort of explain to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI you want to use, what is the best way of breaking down my ideal customer profile, and explain just speak to it. So for example, I'll show you exactly what I do. If you go to Claude, you'll go to a new chat like this. You would click here. What's on Windows? If you press Windows 8, you can just start speaking to it, and you can just start explaining in as much detail as possible. I've attached in the diagram, in the flowchart diagram, in the very, very beginning of this video, on our website, so you can look at the 10 different criteria to identify an ideal customer for you guys. And that ideal customer, answer all of those questions and paste everything in here. And then at the end of a conversation, say, now I'm trying to filter this down in Apollo to find the maximum amount of leads which fit this criteria. So I want you to break down what are the best filters to put into it and give me the best keywords. Then when you find the keywords, you literally just copy and paste it, make sure it's just comma separated, then go into Apollo and paste the keywords here. Now that's the quickest and simplest way to find that. So I did a chat like that the other day. I'll show you exactly. I am looking for cybersecurity companies, which specifically are MSPs in the region of the United States. Now I'm trying to do an Apollo search for this, and I'm only looking for CEOs. And for keywords, I would like you to explain and comma separate as many keywords matching this ideal niche as possible. So could you please just comma separate all the niches, all the keywords which would resonate in Apollo for me, please? What I would deeply recommend is using Claude over ChatGPT. As of today, so June 2025, Claude is far better than ChatGPT in its output and its capabilities in thinking. So I would definitely purchase Claude, and it is, of course, cheaper than ChatGPT. I'll show you the plans here. Now, you can do it for completely free. However, you've got a certain amount of limit per day. Now, for the Pro version, it allows you to have a projects feature. And what I'm about to show you in the next is exactly how to utilize this specifically for yourself. And what you can do in your projects feature, and this is a large part, is create new projects and name it your company. So then if you have like a centralized place of where you keep all of the company documents, so I have a OneDrive, which has company documents like this, download everything. And then all you need to do is download it. So for example, download one of the growth plans, then go over to Claude. And now you see here, you can set instructions. So if you want it to respond in a certain way, you can do that. However, for this use case, that's not really functional. Now, all of those downloads you just done, you can literally just drag and drop it here. See, we've only used 1% with one document. So you can input a lot of files, PDFs, all valuable information about your company. So then you don't need to keep informing about who your ideal company or customer profile is. Now, once you've done that, so I've created a previous one here before. Okay, based on all of the company documentation, what is my ideal customer profile? And I'm using Apollo to filter out based on keywords. So could you please comma separate all of the keywords, which I can just copy and paste into Apollo so I can then speed up the search process. Oh, and one thing about Claude, there's two options, Claude Opus and Claude Sonnet. Claude Sonnet is for the everyday use, is for like conversations like this. But if you require a lot of thinking and a lot of reasoning behind the scenes, then I would definitely recommend Opus. Also, if you want it to be like, think for maybe 15 minutes, then press the deep research here. And if you want it to use the internet, connect extended or web search. If you want it to think for longer and have a more thought through answer, then use extended thinking there. Now, this is one of the industries from the documentation of, so I can just copy and paste. All of this is in the perfect format of comma separated. Go to Apollo, here, industry company keywords, and then you just paste in all of that. Press here. Now it's filtered out 300. Oh, it's filtered out to 147,000. Now, CEOs in a specific location, that is the best filter you can do. Now, you can do also stuff like revenue. So if you want it to be minimum 5 million revenue, what I would definitely recommend is a revenue range. So for example, if you want to go for companies who are sort of in the medium-sized enterprise or small medium, go to from 5 mil to 50 mil. Then that's filtered it down to 33 or 34,000. Then one more filter, which is very useful, is in number of employees. So if you click on this, it'll be able to show you exactly how many employees. Let's say we only want 50 to 100 employees. Now, 5.6 is a massive, 5.9 thousand is a massive list. So you can either go from here, but I would recommend getting it around the 2,500 range. Now, you can also look for job postings if they're looking recently hiring for, let's say, sales manager, because then we can use this to our advantage and be like, I saw you're hiring for a sales manager because of your recent LinkedIn post. I'll show you how to find that information, whether it was on their LinkedIn or their website or Indeed or LinkedIn jobs, however. Now we've filtered it down to 23, which is perfect, but that's a little bit too small because it's still a large, very large list. Let's say we don't want United States because that's a little bit too large. Let's say where I'm from, United Kingdom, quite a small list. So we'd probably take out a few filters. Maybe we'd make this one a little bit larger. So it goes up to 1 million to 50 million. Or we can, and this is actually quite a big thing, we could include a lot more employees because then there's a lot more information here. But I'm happy with a list of 700 just because I don't want to use up too much credits to scrape this. Now, this is really important information. If you were to scrape it from Apollo, it would take up so much credits, you would not be able to scrape even half this list. That's number one. And if you were to buy credits, Apollo credits are extremely expensive. So the workaround around this is to find this link, copy it with Control-C, go over to a website called Apify. So go to apify.com. You have to go to create an account, go to the console, and Apify has got a free range to scrape 100 profiles. However, what I'd recommend is buying the $39 plan, because that allows you to scrape so much more. It's around £1.20 for 1,000 leads. Now that's far better than anywhere else on the internet. So then I'd recommend checking this one. So you go to search, you type Apollo actors, then you would type Apollo, then you'd go to Apollo Scraper, scrape 50,000 leads, and now this is the best one because you don't need to sign in and put any information. This only works and this only does more than 100 when you actually buy the $39 plan. And that shows here, the usage. Otherwise, it'll only be able to scrape 100. Now, take out this link, so you press Control A, and now you press Control V, the stuff that you just pasted in. And now what you do is press Save and Start. And now we wait a little bit of time. So while this is actually loading, this is going into Apollo, and this is scraping page by page all of the contacts that we've just found. So this is extremely important. Now, as we ventured in Claude earlier, this is just one industry keyword. We've got so many different industries. We've got also job title, decision makers you would like to reach out to. You can be a lot more granular with Claude. So use Claude as sort of your brainstorming buddy to allow you to then transfer over to Apollo who are the best people to filter out. Stuff like what countries, and then because if it's all comma separated and it's like this, you can just copy and paste it in to Apollo without having to like click on one, scroll down a little bit, and it just saves so much time. Okay, so Apify is going to take a few minutes to run. While that's running, we've covered the pricings of Claude. We've covered company documentation. While we're waiting for that, I would look into something called Clay, and this is going to be used to enrich the Apollo information. Now, this is going to be the longest process of this save, and it is very time consuming crafting all the master prompts to get Clay to enrich the data how you want it to. So what I have done is created a master document which is accessible on our website for completely free, where you just have to download it. And I'll show you exactly how to specify it to Clay. So what Clay basically is a massive spreadsheet which allows you to hook a bunch of APIs to it. And then these APIs then can be used to enrich and find out more information about a specific company based on the links gathered from Apollo. But also it's able to create like first liners to emails, or create second liners, third liners, value proposition. I'll show you how to write a banging email, stuff which has really been working for ourselves, and how this sort of structures it down. Now, the key flaw of Apollo, or a key flaw of Clay, is it's extremely expensive. And the best model to go for is the starter plan here at £134. Now that's per month. So what I would recommend is trying out the free plan first, using all of your credits. And on the starter plan, what makes it worth that much money is you don't have to use that many credits. The minimum amount is 24 credits per year. What I'd recommend is the monthly plan first of all. So it's £150 a month actually. So it's quite expensive, but it has the ability to use your own API keys. Why this is important is once you can blast through Clay credits, and you only have 2,000 a month. That's like less than 2,000 enrichments a month, way less than 2,000 enrichments a month. So the beauty of using your own API key is you only pay for as much you use, and the only thing on top of that, like the setup fee or the monthly fee, is the 150 a month. So this is quite a big an investment. If you want to actually do this for much cheaper, much more cost effective, then we would look into tools like NA10, building out personalized workflows. And if you really want, we can do that in another video, showing you how to replicate these kinds of emails. But it requires a lot more upfront effort and a lot more dedication, a lot more time. And I believe even doing automations and coding and development myself, Clay is just by far the easiest and the quickest one to iterate. So I'll definitely recommend looking into this. Now, the $350 a month is quite expensive, so I'll definitely go for the $150. While I've been talking about all of this stuff, the Apollo has exported that list of 700 contacts. So we just press the export button here. Now, what we have to do is include certain files. So Apollo emits, when it's scraped by Apify, creates so much data and it's a headache to work with. So it's so much better just to filter it out. These are the exact ones I want you to copy. So first name, last name, organization name, website, LinkedIn, personal LinkedIn, title, email, personal email, city, state, and if you're doing more than one country, country. If you're not in Apollo, selecting that filter of verified emails, then I would definitely recommend you to type in this one, email domain, because that tells you if it's verified or not. That's only if you haven't pressed the verified emails. I'll show you, if you haven't pressed that, you can then filter out which ones are verified, which ones are not, and then you can verify it with a third-party API in Clay. Now, if you didn't understand any of that, don't worry. And then once you've filtered out with these specific filters, you just press CSV and download. Now that's downloading a list like this. Now we have captured our list. So I exported 700 really highly qualified leads. You can make that much larger. I would recommend not doing anything over 2,500 because that's just a lot to work with at a specific time. Now, we've got this lead list. Let's sign into Clay. So what I'd recommend is trying out your free trial first. And if you like it and if you found the promise here, then definitely get the £150 monthly. Once you've got to Clay, you'll find a page like this. Now, what is really important is you create a new workspace, new workbook. Now, the beauty of Clay, and then we can go into this in another video, is the amount of signals and information it captures, which is nothing else really captures it to this level or makes it this easy to capture. Of course, this is all able to be captured, but Clay makes it super easy and interactive. So first of all, you can filter out, but I believe Apollo or SalesNav is far better for that. Apollo is even better than SalesNav. Then you can find companies, filter jobs, import from a CSV. So that's the one we're going to do. But in the meantime, actually, what I'd like to just cover upon first of all is this is quite expensive, and this is what I'm talking about. Clay credits are very costly. But what you can do, you can look for job changes. So you can import a CSV of different companies, and what it will do is monitor, like on a daily basis, if that company is posting for any job changes or any new hiring roles and stuff like that. And then you can outreach directly to them, so you're on top of real-time data. What another key thing is promotions. You can check for promotions, job hirings, job posts, new fundraising, etc., or custom signals. Now, one key thing which you can monitor audience posts on LinkedIn. That's actually one of the expensive features on Clay, but there's so much here what you can do. There's, for example, monitor interaction with professional posts. And this is a very key information, but this is of course expensive, and this is something we can build out and I'll show you how to do for much cheaper. Or if you've got the budget for Clay, you can monitor professional posts. What you can do on LinkedIn is if you find a professional article, you can just copy that URL or copy that link to that from that article or from that LinkedIn post or whatever, and put it directly in here. If you click on that, so if I press next, you can just filter out different companies, different people, and then in that role, you'll just paste in that LinkedIn URL, comma separate it, and do that for the different LinkedIn posts and stuff. Then anytime somebody likes that post or interacts with that post, then you capture their data. You can filter out based on CEOs or whatever decision maker you want, and then outreach to them. And this is sort of into the strategy realm, how we know how to capture intent signaling, how to create sort of crazy campaigns. But let's just start with the very simple and the basics, and then maybe we can go into that in future videos. So back into what we're just talking about. So let me go again. Folder, no, new workbook. Now import from CSV. Now we import that folder which we just created. There's this one. I'd recommend naming it first. Now that's loading in, comma, and then complete import. Now it's loading in all of that information we just scraped from Clay. Now, if you see this, it's got everything. It's got first name, last name, organization name, then this key information, a website, organization, LinkedIn, title, all of this information, country, all of that stuff. But now, how do we actually enrich it and create hyper-personalized emails like the ones I showed at the very beginning of this video? So that is the most time-consuming part. And luckily for you, I have created a template which can just speed up all of this work. So here is a 16-page document of the blueprints of how to create these master prompts which actually create winning copy for cold emails. And this is stuff which has the best cold email principles just baked into it. So not to use spam words, to not come across as salesy, to structure it like the winning offering or the winning formula which we use basically, which is identifying the pain point, explaining how we found those pain points. So explaining how we found the pain point. So a pain point could be, I saw you're hiring for a new job. That then indicates they're probably trying to grow or they're trying to expand their sales department if they're hiring for quite a few sales roles. So then you can say, I see you're looking to grow, or you can make some reasonable estimations, and that's what the AI will do. And then you insert your value proposition. The value proposition is then specifically counteracted to that pain point of exactly what you provide to solve that pain point. And that unique value proposition, I would say, is the most important part of any email. Then you have the case study and call to action to back it up and then actually book the meeting with them. And then what we like to do is have a sign off. We have maybe a few creative things like to increase authority, like putting a phone number, an address, and just to create reliability, and then to do a PS. And actually, funnily enough, we found PS is the second most read thing after the first line of an email. People normally just go straight from the first line to the PS. And the PS is where we include our 100% money back guarantee. So if you got a killer offer like that, then throw that in the PS. So for this master document, which I've just given over on a Word document, what I would do is press Control A. Just press Control A, Control C. Copy all of that, then go back into the Claude project which you just created earlier. Imperium Docs. Now this has got all the files about your company, so it understands your company really well. Now you would paste that in here, and you can see it there. Now what you would do is write these exact words. Please create me the 8. Of course, customize the filtering which you have specifically done for your list, but you have to include this one line. Please create me the 8 master prompts. And then what I would do is turn it to Opus, because this is going to be a little bit of thinking. Then also I'll turn it to extended thinking, web search as well. Now, in this is all the blueprints to create a absolutely winning cold email. So as I spoke about, it's got the 3 sections, the pain point identification, and then explains how it got that pain point. Then it's got the value proposition, which directly relates to that pain point, which basically what we're trying to identify in not a salesy way, but in a actually nurturing and humanistic way, saying, I recently saw you were hiring for new sales development reps. By any chance, are you trying to grow? Or I saw your recent funding round, really impressed. Congratulations on whatever. In that case, are you trying to grow at the moment? And what's the plans? Are you looking for a new sales team? And then insert value proposition. That value proposition is then directly correlated to the first pain point, and then says exactly how your product helps to alleviate that. So say, for example, if you have an automated sales system, you can throw that in. Or if you have a pipeline or bespoke custom software, whatever your product is, and we can go into more detail in a later stage. However, this is basically you identify the pain point and then you solve the pain point in a uniquely written copy of your value proposition. And then you go into the case study about some stuff you've done, how it relates to them. So that's all what AI is going to be doing. And then you have a call to action. Would be honored to have the chance to speak with you about XYZ, sign off, then put your name in, best wishes, PS, 100% money back guarantee. And this is all going to be created so it does not sound like spam. So what Clay has created is creating 8 master prompts. Now this saves so much time. So what you do is copy the first master prompt. So before we actually go into this list in Clay, the most important thing is if you get the £150 a month plan, you have to configure your API credits, and that just saves you so much costs in the long run. So what I'd recommend doing is going to settings, connections, and then there are 2 connections we want to make here. The first one is OpenAI API key. Second one is Anthropic API key. So if we head on over to the 2 sites I've attached down below, the first one is this openai.com/API. Now you press start building, and you sign in with your own details and stuff, and then it'll take you to the dashboard like this. Now I'm already signed in, but what you have to do then is go into the top right corner, press your profile. Then you would have to press API keys, and then you press create new API key. Then what you do, you type in an API name, so Clay Test, for example. Forget about all of this stuff, project, default project, and then make sure permissions is all, then create the key. So copy that, and then when you've copied that, make sure everything's copied correctly, press done, because you can never see this one again. Now go back to Clay. Now go to add connection, type OpenAI, one word, and then you would type the name of the key, and then you would type enter in the key here. And then you would press save. You have the ability to test it, make sure it's fully functioning, and then you head on over to do the exact same thing for the Claude API. So I'll attach the link in the description. It's Claude. Go to your Claude project you were here earlier, go into the bottom right, then press settings, press learn more, and press API console. Now you've gone to the API console. If you haven't created an API console, you just sign in with some details, create an account. Then you press get API key here. Then you press create key, and you do the exact same process. Name your key, whatever you want to call it, Clay Test, add, then you press copy that key, close, and then you do the exact same thing. So you go back to Clay, add connection, go to Anthropic, and add connection, and then you would type in a name. Make sure you name it because you don't want to get these confused, and paste in your API key here. And then once you've done all of that, you press save, and then test, account, and save. That's the walkthrough. So those are the 2 API keys you need to connect to just save you so much headache and money in the long term. Now, also with these API keys in the console, this is a long process. You go to billing, and then you buy some credits. Now, what I would recommend is, it depends on your budget. I would recommend starting with around anywhere between $10 to $20. But with that kind of expense, you're going to run into rate limits. So rate limits basically mean when you're applying all of these enrichments in Clay, it takes longer to do. It takes a lot more like trial and error to go back and forth to get all of them done in the list because of low rate limits. And the only way to increase rate limits is to put more money in the account. So anything above £100, and that just speeds time up. So if you've got the budget to do that, go ahead, do that for Clay, Anthropic, because all of these API credits will definitely be useful in the long term. So with all of that out of the way, we've connected the API credits, everything. Now let's go to the Clay table, and now finally we can start doing some stuff. We press add column, use AI. Now this is extremely important, and follow these instructions to the exact, because I don't want you wasting and making some waste of money like sort of what I've been doing or I've experienced. So go to configure. Now to start off, we want to use this Clay agent. So Clay agent, you make sure you use this one, not these 2. I'll tell you when to use the other ones. Then if you're using the Pro plan, or if you're using the £150 a month plan, then go to Clay agent and then use this one, GPT 4.0 mini. Make sure it's 4.0 mini, because 4.0 will eat up your API credits and you'll be 100, and then the next second you'll be down at 0. So make sure you do not use O. Use GPT-4o Mini. So click on that, and then make sure you connect your API key, because if you're using Clay credits, you're going to start using up more credits, and Clay credits are extremely expensive, much more expensive than API keys or API costs, even from Anthropic or Claude, or Anthropic or OpenAI. Now, Alex AI API key, you do this. Now, that is all you need to do. Now you've set it out perfectly. Don't need to touch that. So Clayagent 4o Mini, and then make sure it's the correct API key. Then prompt. If we head on back to Claude and we copy this prompt number 1. So now I believe all 8 prompts have been created, which is saving you hours of time. Trust me. Then you copy that, go over here and just paste that in exactly how it was. Now you're going to see stuff in double brackets like this. So wherever you see stuff in double brackets, so what I could recommend is doing a Control F here, and then you can literally just type in bracket, and wherever you see brackets like that, that's where you need to change. So it says company name here. What you're going to do is you're going to delete that, press the / button, and now you're going to see all of these lists. So these are basically all of these lists at this time here. So we're looking for company name, so select organization name, company website. You're going to select / and then organization website URL. And it only looked like there were 2, so that is all good there. Then what we do, just check all of this stuff, then press save. And press save and run 10 rows. So this is just to test it out with 10 rows. 10 rows should literally be less than 1 penny of API costs. So this is why if we were to run it with Clay credits, it would be 10 Clay credits, and you only have 2,000 on the £150 a month plan. So you're already wasting quite a lot. Now, what's happening behind the scenes is it is looking and searching these websites, which you've found in Apollo earlier. Also, it found the organization name, and it's doing some web research to find any interesting information about that company. Now, what's happening, as we see it starting to propagate, and the whole prompt basically said, find as much information about this company so that when we create these emails, we know some valuable touch points to reflect upon. While that's loading, we basically do the same thing again. We configure it to be Clay agent, and then we configure it to be GPT-4o Mini. And then you would go to here and you would just copy number 2. Head on over, paste that in, and then you do the exact same thing over and over again. Now then you do Control F, and then you would look for wherever the brackets are. So there are 2 here. Full name. You would do first name, and then you would do second name, last name. And then you would replace the LinkedIn link. So this is personal. So we're going to, so the first one was to research about the company. Second one is to research about that person. So we do LinkedIn URL. There we go. And press save, run test rows. But first, let's just check we're 040 Mini, correct API key, Clayagent, perfect. Save, run 10 rows. And now the beauty of what Clay is actually really makes the complex really simple. And that's what I appreciate about it. We could probably build out a system like this for far cheaper. However, it would just cause a lot of headache. So, and if you think this is a lot, if you were to actually go through the other process, which I could show you how to make it cheaper, but this is just super, super more efficient. What this has found, so this has given a response all about this company. So it's found GasWorld operates in a digital information service specifically for global industrial gas community, targeting gas companies, etc. Now, reasoning, so it found the details was found on their Zoom info profile. So it just scraped Zoom info and other news articles. So it found that, and the confidence that this is correct information is very high. And these are all the tokens it used. These are the times taken. So it took 43 seconds to generate this. And then token cost, just to find that one, was around 0.0045 US dollars. And that's basically the cost for one. So if you extrapolate that for all of them. So say we had 700 in this list, it could maybe cost around anywhere between $10 to $20 to scrape that one list. Or no, maybe these two lists using the OpenAI credits. So because here we're using OpenAI, not Claude. Now, we've done the same thing here for a bit about that person. So it's done a bit of research about that person. I assume looking at their LinkedIn profile, any articles about them, doing a web research on them. Now, let's do the same thing again, but this is a little bit different. So now we go to configure. You go content creation and manipulation. Now we're going to do 4.0. We're going to make sure it's the correct key. Now, prompt number 3. Copy this over, go back here, paste this in. Do the same thing as before, Control F. Control F. And then we do brackets here. We find there's LinkedIn company summary. So this was the first one we found, / and now you go LinkedIn MSP overview summary, and then you press response. Now you do the same thing for the second one, / summary, response. And this is the full prompt here. And then press save, run 10 rows. Now the reason we're running 10 rows is just to check everything is correct. If it's on 10 and all of the 10 are to a high level, then it looks like everything will be extrapolated to the right level as well in the future. So now these are the 3 complex ones. So the first one was Clagent, second one was Clagent, third one was just a GPT-4o search. Actually, what I would recommend is not doing 4.0. I'll do 4.0 mini for sure. You're going to absolutely destroy your credits if you do 4.0. And there really isn't that much of a compromise in quality. Now, you do it one more time, add AI. Now you go configure. You're going to do, not Clagent, you're going to do content creation manipulation. You're going to go to find the model as Claude 3.5 Haiku. I know there's 3.7 and there's also Claude 4 Opus Sonnet, but those are ridiculously expensive. Claude 4 Opus is 7.5 tokens. That's ridiculous. We want Claude 3.5 Haiku. And because we've already connected our Claude Anthropic API key, what we can do is connect to the right one, so we're not using any Clay credits. Now we were on number 4, so we go over to here, find prompt number 4, copy it, paste it over here, do the exact same thing, Control F, and then we just type in the bracket, and then it will find these 3 brackets, if you can see in the corner here. These 3 brackets. Now, it says company summary, so what you're going to have to do is forward bracket, MSP overview summary, response. Same thing here, LinkedIn summary. So you can do here, LinkedIn summary here, response. Don't worry about the titles because the title's already created. AI does that for you. Commercial pain point, you do / and then commercial pain point operation tension, response. That's exactly it. Now, that's exactly what you do. Check it is the correct model. Make sure it's 3.5 Haiku. Nothing else, because those API credits are extremely expensive, not practical for this use case. Now, save and run 10 rows. Simple. Now we literally just need to repeat this exact process we did for this one, I believe 4 more times with the same model, same everything. So we can skip forward that, just quick. Use AI, configure here, web research, content creation manipulation, model 3.5 Haiku, Alex AI API key. Now you go over here, you copy number 5, value proposition number 5, paste it in here, do a little, now you don't actually need to do that. You can literally just scroll to the bottom, find the first line, and then just, first line is here, response, company summary is here, company summary, overview summary, response, LinkedIn summary here, LinkedIn summary, response, and commercial. Pain point is here. Response. So the reason we actually create 8 master prompts using 8 AI agents to enrich this is because this is like a cold email killer campaign. This is sort of the ultimate campaign. It's using so many data points, it's using so much research that every single line of this email will be hyper-personalized. I do not recommend for most of the campaigns you do to be every single line of them hyper-personalized, because there's always hallucination errors with AI. It may hallucinate one thing in one email and another thing in another email. And the more AI you use, basically, the more unreliable and unpredictable it will be. So I definitely do not recommend doing what is done here, hyper-personalizing everything. But this is sort of the ultimate campaign. Now, with this campaign as well, you're able to really, really clearly understand what their pain point is, with not too much filtering in Apollo or signal scanning and stuff like that. You're also able to identify what the best value proposition your company can offer to them is immediately off the bat. And then also you can find exactly what case study you have that perfectly relates to them off the bat as well. So all of this in turn creates an absolute killer cold email. It creates pain point, value proposition, and then case study, call to action in the most eloquently worded way. And I've tried to engineer the master prompt, which hopefully you're using, to be as friendly as avoidant of spam detection words. So it will not end up in spam when you actually do send these. And that is the reason we're doing this. So if you wanted to structure different cold emails, and we can go into this in different videos, is if you wanted to do maybe search for signals, like if you're only looking for people hiring on Indeed or LinkedIn Jobs and all different job platforms, or just funding rounds, like you can find that on Crunchbase, then I would recommend not doing an approach like this, because you already know it's sort of nailed down. But if you're doing something like you're just scraping a really broad list, or someone's given you a broad list, or if you have a really broad list, someone's already passed over a really broad list and you don't know how to filter out this data, I would definitely recommend something like this. Now, it's up to you how many credits you want to use and how costly, what your budget is. But we've found these reply rates, or these campaigns have much, much higher reply rates. And if you're thinking about cost of acquisition or the cost of one client for this method, it's far, far more cost effective than running Facebook ads, for example, or LinkedIn, buying a media team to run LinkedIn ads or stuff like that. This is far more effective and hyper-personalized. No one's getting a Facebook ad which is specifically catered towards their exact pain point and their exact business, and their even their personal touch. Like, for example, I'll show you. This includes some kind of personal touch. I remember I was looking at one earlier, which blew me away with how hyper-personalized it was. It went into like a little joke saying, not everyone speaks 7 languages like you. And it could only do that if it researched all the amount, which I'm talking about here. Now, if you want to get to this level, this is the best approach. But what I would also recommend is maybe playing around with some of these. If you only care about a personalized one-liner, or forget about that, personalized value proposition, then that's specifically how I would approach it. So maybe only using 3 to 4 AI columns in Clay. But we've gone all out and creating the best campaigns here. So this is 8 AI columns in Clay. I'll show you what an email like that looks like. The way I've engineered that master prompt, or that Word document which you pasted over, was if you implement all of your company docs, first of all, in the original Clay or Claude project, then everything should be customized. And if you're not using the Claude Premium or the Claude projects, then just use the same shortcut I showed earlier. So then Windows H, and just speak into Claude or the interface and just everything about your company. So it understands every single approach, so then it can craft the best cold emails. Now we have finally done all 8. This is by no means going to be perfect, and by no means we're going to hit the nail on the head first time. So what I would recommend is looking at one of these cold emails, thinking about how you want to structure it, what your vision was, and Is it there or how far away is it? And then let's first show you how to find that out. So you'd go to add column, you'd press text, and now you literally just need to click here, being full email preview. You click here, edit column here. Now you're going to say, let's just make an example. This is what an example email would look like. I do not recommend actually doing this. This is just so you can visualize it. So, and then if you want a PS statement, so you could put PS, we have 100% money back guarantee. That's up to you. That's depending on what your offering is. Now, this is what the email would look like. Now, I just want to show what a follow-up 1 and 2 would be like. So, follow-up 1. And of course, with these follow-ups, you can add things below and after the hyper-personalization, like a sandwich. So it can just sort of give the message. So one thing we've been trying out is if just reply to this email, and if we do not reply in like 60 seconds to a minute, we will give you like a £5 voucher or something, because of these AI systems which were built out, which auto-respond and have the same level of hyper-personalization as here. So that's some stuff I'll show you how to build out in the next few videos. But that can be like a cool way of engaging audiences. We can try out different strategies, but this is sort of the bread and butter. Okay, that is basically everything. Then press save. And now it's going to like preload what all of these emails would look like. Now forget about these ones because this hasn't got information here. But let's see what the first one would look like. We press Ctrl A. And let's go to a Word document just to see. Good morning, Martin. I noticed from your LinkedIn that you built an impressive digital platform connecting the global industrial gas community since 2018. And then it goes on to say a little bit more. We helped MSPs generate qualified meetings, so that's the value proposition, which is specifically towards here, this first line. A recent client, and then this is where the case study, with similar growth channels transformed their meeting quality, and that's why I wanted to reach out for a quick conversation scaling your team. Happy Monday, Archie. And the second email will be like, just checking in, your recent EU funding looks like growth. And then you can maybe add like a little bit more like hard coded in, saying, would love the opportunity to have maybe would be honored to have a virtual coffee chat with you. So that's all what the email chain would look like. I do not recommend sending anything after 3 follow-ups, because then it just significantly decreases the chance of actually getting a reply. So that's what an email would look like. First of all, if you're happy with this email, which to myself, it's maybe 80% there, maybe a little bit more work. What I would do is copy and paste everything, go back to Clay, go back to this master prompt and say, paste this in here, and then do a few lines in the very beginning and just start speaking. Okay, so this is the email and the follow-ups which I've been getting from this master prompt. Now, it looks good. However, just a few small things. I'd like you to include a few numbers into the call to action and the case study section, because my case studies have numbers and they could be impressive if applicable. So could you incorporate them if necessary? Also, for the first liner, could you also butter them up a little bit more? Be a little bit more complimentary, be a bit nicer, because it currently sounds a bit salesy. And furthermore, for the follow-ups, add a little bit of a call to action in the follow-up, saying something along the lines of, have you seen my previous email? I'm curious what your thoughts are, stuff like that. So what I'd like you to do is iterate any necessary parts of these 8 master prompts to make these necessary changes, and give it to me so I can just copy and paste it in, press play, see what's happening here. It's going to basically give you some stuff you can just copy and paste. I'll tell you replace this with this, and then you go back to the Clay, you iterate it, copy and paste those master prompts in, then test it out, do the exact same process over and over again until you're happy with an email. And then once you're finally happy with an email which you're ready to scale for the list of however many you built out, then what you do, you would press here, and you'd press run on all rows that haven't run or have errors. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier about the latency issues. If you've got a lot of credits in your account for Claude API or the OpenAI API, then you would specifically, you don't have to worry about this, and hopefully the whole list will generate. If you've only got £10 to £20 in that account, then you're going to have to press this button multiple times, maybe around 10 to 20 times, just because every so often it just times out and doesn't complete on the full list. Same with all of these other lists. What I would recommend is starting with this, waiting a little bit of time, then going on to this, waiting a bit of time, then going on to this step by step. So it will take maybe half an hour, a little bit of time to generate the entirety of however long your list is. However, that's just the best way if you don't have too many credits in your account. Now, let's say we're happy with all of this and we've iterated it back and forth and all the cold emails are looking good, hyper-personalized to your specifications. Then what we have to do is export this list. Now we go to Actions, Export, download a CSV. And now that's loading. And imagine this has got all the hundreds of emails, everything hyper-personalized towards that. And because we've already verified all of these emails, then there should be no issue about bouncing or blocks and stuff like that. However, one thing before I open that list up, which we've just downloaded, is if you haven't verified the emails, one quick thing we can do is go to Add Enrichment. You can find an enrichment called Emailable, verify emails. Now you have to basically copy this link, go to emailable.com, press Add Template, and you'll get to a page like this. Now, this is all good. What you have to do is sign in with the same account and go to this site here. Go to Emailable, then press Get Started for free. Go to API up here, new key, private name, just test, save. Here, a new one has been created. Copy this key, go back to Clay, paste this key in here. So highlight that, paste it in there, press save and run on 10. And now what it's basically going to do is going to find that email which you found from Apollo, find these emails which you found from Apollo. Then it's going to cross-check it across its database and do some API magic. And it'll come back with either a 400 or 200. If it's 200, it's all good to go. If it's anything but 200, there's been a bit of an error. And depending on the number, you can identify what the error is by typing it back into ChatGPT and then working backwards from there. Now, this is another API. This API, it does have credits already for free, so you can test that out for free. If you're really liking this and you don't want to verify it in Apollo for some reason because you've already got a list or something, then I would definitely recommend this. And then you would export it, and then you'd filter out basically the ones which are good and ones which are bad, and then you'd take the necessary steps from there. Anyway, let's say all of that has been done, and let's move back into SmartLead. So we've signed into SmartLead, and this is now, would come back maybe 2 weeks later. So this process shouldn't, or it could be done in a day if you've already got email accounts set up. But if you haven't, this process should take 2 weeks. And so far, this it's been a long video, as Giacomo knows from editing all of this stuff. But what you do is go to SmartLead, go to email campaigns. You'd press Create Campaign. Let's say you are exporting that list that you just exported from Apollo. You're just importing the list which you just exported from Apollo. Then you would go ignore leads that exist in other campaigns. I don't want that. Now you've got all of this stuff. So you've got MSP overview, summary. So all of this stuff just set as custom field. This last one doesn't really matter. Then title, you can also set that as a custom field, and all of these other ones, first name here, last name here, organization name can be company name. And that's all the information you need. Next, you're going to press save and next. Now, SmartLead is also going to do a little bit of backing just to check everything's verified. So we found 13 which aren't verified. So we can either download them and check it from there, or because we've got such a large list, 13 really doesn't matter. Now, just going to analyze all of this stuff. And they're different email sending platforms. So SmartLead is one, and another one, the biggest competitors, Instantly. Instantly, SmartLead are more or less priced the same, more or less do the same things. Most people go with Instantly actually, but Smartlead I like because it's got really good integration. So you can connect API keys, and it's just perfect for this agentic setup of optimizing and automating the entire sales process, which I'll go through in the next few videos. So we've found 683 leads. Total leads is 669. Perfect. Now you can verify it. That's just going to verify it. Anything else further? See if there's any on any like international block lists, because you don't want to be ending up on a block list yourself. Let's verify it. There's only a certain amount you can actually verify with your licensing, so just be careful about. If it's already verified, then you don't need to verify it again. Now, first thing about creating an email is the subject line. This is just going to be 101, cold email 101. Subject line is the first thing they're going to see. It actually hooks it. So what I normally like to do is just 3 random things. Let's throw something. MSP, growth, and throw a random word, banana. I don't know. Something which will just strike their attention, get them to click on that email. Maybe this is not quite your style. Maybe you'll do something like this, or you'd be a little bit more polite. Found an opportunity. Find an opportunity, and then you can put their name. So all you have to do to insert their name is do double curly brackets, first name. Now it's going to be their name, found an opportunity. Okay, then you do hi. Or I would say what you can actually do in Smartlead and stuff is set different timings. So for different times of the day. So in different regions, if you know you're sending it +1 GMT or -7 GMT, depending on the region in the world you're sending it to, you can do good morning, good afternoon, and that just increases personality a little bit more, making it seem like it's actually written by a human. Because if you're receiving a good morning at like 9 a.m, you would think, oh, okay, that person actually is sending it at the same time as me. Just some little stuff like that really helps deliverability and really helps people replying, getting our reply rates up to much higher than industry standards. Okay, so good morning, and then insert first name. Then you would insert all the same things as before. So it's going to be personalized cold opener. Now, what this email would look like is if we previewed it, they would receive an email like this. Good morning, Martin. I noticed from your LinkedIn, and then it inserts the email which we delivered earlier. And now, actually, let me show you one quick thing, which this is just to check how good an email like this would be. So if you copy something like this, you head over to Mail Meteor, then you go to Spam Checker here, you paste in that email. Okay, there's a few things, so it doesn't really like the word call. Maybe we could prompt engineer that a little bit better. But if you can see, more or less everything apart from these 2 words is flawless. I know it says poor, but it's either poor or great. There's no in the middle with Spam Checker. So this is actually a really good score. And it's a few seconds, so it's less than a minute. It looks like it should be really good. Maybe only thing we could change call to meeting. And there we go. So those 2 words were the only thing holding it back from a great email. So this email just shows how good it is. How good this hyper-personalization is, not ending up in spam. Like this score, regardless of those 2 words, would have most likely ended up in the actual inbox. And then coupled with all of the records we set up in the very beginning, all the different warming up processes we've done, there's no reason this should not end up in their actual inbox. Now, this is an example of what it would do. Now, we only did 10 examples because we exported it without doing everything, but what I would recommend is do all of it, then do Smartlead, then add a step, add an email, then if you want it to be in the same email chain, which I would recommend for the next 2 follow-ups, don't add a new subject line, because if you do, then it'll send a new email. And finally, final email step would be do not add another one. This is basically the full email chain. Now, one thing I found was here you can say Happy Monday. What you can actually put, and this could help improve deliverability, is insert day of the week and stuff like that. Like, for example, if it's morning, you can add a variable being like, oh, okay, if it's morning, add this. If it's not, add this, and stuff like that. All of these options are available with Smartlead. Okay, we've created a very simple campaign just using the best hyper-personalization one can imagine. We've used all the tools in the shed for as cheap as possible. If we were to use this using Apollo, if we were to hyper-personalize it instantly or stuff like that, this would be more or less 5 times the price that it was to build this system. So let's wrap this up and get this email delivered and set up. So because we have already waited 2 weeks, hopefully, then you want to do 3 things. First, choose a sender account. You'd connect to one like this, for example. You can select as many as you want, save email accounts, and this is how you connect. Know which email account is sending which emails, stuff like that. So you could have one email account sending to the Middle East area, one email account sending to the Europe area, Americas and stuff like that. So you can coordinate while you're sleeping. One email account is sending emails, one is working when you're the daytime, however you want to plan it, basically. Schedule campaign. So now this is exactly what I was talking about. You can schedule it from different times. So if you want to do a good morning message, you can schedule for the first half of the day, good morning to be sent. Second half of the day, good afternoon to be sent. Time zones, you've got all the time zones to play around with. So that's super simple. Start campaign date. I would recommend not sending on weekends, maybe if you want to. And then I would average maybe every 20 minutes. So that's around 27 triggers. That's perfect. 30 emails a day. And that looks all good. Let's just select a random time zone, start campaign date, 2 days. Max number of leads reached per day, let's say 30. Just because we don't want to blow it. There. Schedule campaign. We've done that. Campaign settings. Now, campaign name. MSP test. However, name it whatever you want because you've put a lot of time and effort into this. We should be extremely proud of this campaign. Then go to stop sending messages when message replies to a message. Optimize email deliverability. Boost your deliverability. Force plain text. That's very essential. Connect to smart servers. Now, this is basically a feature that Smart Lead has to boost deliverability. However, you need to purchase that. I would not recommend at this stage. If you want to really be deep into the cold email world, then maybe. Company level auto pause. Also pause if one of the leads from the same domain replies. No, we would not want that. Anyway, we can customize all of this stuff. So this is why I asked to, if we've got Gmail and Microsoft, we'd say isolate leads. So we'd send Gmails to Gmail and Outlook to Outlook. But here we've only got, I think it was the Gmail one. So Gmail should only be sending to all. But if you had 2, then you would be Gmail to one, Microsoft to another. Or Gmail to Gmails, Microsoft to Microsoft. That's just how it works best. Then, don't categorize with AI. Yep, have it categorized with AI. So what it's going to be able to do is identify if people are interested. If it's the wrong person, out of office, do not contact, not interested, meeting requested. All of these categories, if you want, it'll be able to have a little pop-up there. And then activate auto pause for bounces. Let's say 8% is a good one here. Or let's say 4% actually. And then add the unsubscribe. Yeah, we don't need unsubscribe because it's all done in plain text. And that's boosting deliverability anyways. So all of that has been done. Now you can run some tests to see if your emails have actually successfully warmed up. So what you could do is run some spam tests. Just press that button and then just press agree to it. And then it'll do some spam tests in the background, give you some reports on if your emails have a good reputation and stuff. However, all of that should show up in the email management sidebar. And then finally, you just press schedule campaign and launch the campaign and successfully started this campaign. So that is the full process of this very, very long, but very rewarding and very high ROI system on exactly how to create hyper-personalized campaigns in the most simple, effective AI manner. Now, this whole process has taken me about 3 hours to film, so I don't expect you to do it in anything less than 3 hours. So this prepare like a full day for this process if you're looking to do it. There will of course be a few trial and errors, and as maybe you saw me doing one in the video, I was just referring with ChatGPT if I had any other questions and some stuff wasn't working out, I didn't know what to type in, stuff like that. Also, I would definitely recommend just consulting with Claude, going back and forth to create like a perfect email which you are happy with first, and then publish it for all the thousands in the Clay campaign. Those are just a few advice. I've given you some of the advice which I would do to create these campaigns which have amazing value propositions, identifying pain points. This sort of was like the holy grail or bread and butter of creating a cold email campaign with extremely good and high reply rates to get people really interested into your offer. So that's all the foundations of all of this. Now, this is just the very, very seed of this entire process. Now, over the next few videos, I'm going to show exactly how to build an auto-responding agent so it increases the reply rates from, I believe there's a 391% higher reply rate when you respond within 60 seconds. So when anyone is replying to these campaigns, we immediately are responding back, booking meetings, answering any questions, so you have the highest brand perception. Then what we've covered buying the domains, we've covered warming up the domains, setting up all the purchasing all the leads, scraping it for the most cost-effective way, then enriching all of those leads, turning it into killer cold emails, and then actually sending it, and then reaping the rewards of all the hard work you've done. So you should be extremely proud of yourself. And if this process was a lot, and if this process was very arduous and time-consuming, then this is just a very tip of the iceberg for what we do for our bespoke clients, where we're actually producing them results of 200+ million in pipeline within 6 months and stuff like that. So this is just what is possible with a system like this. As I mentioned, some of the stuff as well is going to be custom bespoke to like pain or data points which you can't really get from methods like this. So if this at all intrigues you and on what could be possible, and if you don't want to be implementing a system like this yourself, then check out our company, Imperium Growth, book a call on the website when you get your free templates, and all of this stuff is completely for free because I see the immense value this can produce in terms of revenue guarantees.